how I prevent relapse. I focus on how ill I was in 2019. That's how I do it. Every day as an alcoholic, it's a fight to stay sober, to be fair. And when I maybe pass a pub or something, I don't really have an urge to drink, but sometimes I think, I would like to just have one. But I've said it 1,000 times before, we can't have one, can we? So in 2019, I was so ill that I got hospitalised. I was in hospital on and off for about 2 years, and had lots and lots of complications, including decompensated alcohol-related liver disease, which generally is a lifespan of about 2 years. And apparently, not many people can turn to compensate. But I managed it somehow by basically not drinking and strong mind and trying to get healthy food and this sort of thing. So now I'm pretty fit. I've got a wonderful partner. I've got a new life. And I know people who have liver transplants and go back on the drink. And this is where you've got to be strong. It's so easy to go into a pub and it's very difficult to get out of one. And it's so easy to fancy a drink because everyone else is having them. But it's one of these things where you've got to think, it's going to be so much harm that if I go back to it, I know it'll kill me, because I had this discussion with my partner when we were away. Just come back from a little trip, and said, well, you know, if you just had one, would it kill you? I said, well, not the one wouldn't, but it would lead to 2, and then 3 days later it would lead to 5, and so on. And the way to stop and combat relapse is to realise alcohol doesn't actually do you any good. You might get a little bit of a buzz, but as you get older, you've got to be a bit more sensible about your life and think, well, I haven't got long left, really. You know, once you get to 40, you're halfway through, aren't you? I know plenty of people who've died between 50 and 60. So you're looking at a pretty short life, at best, really, aren't you? You need to really look after yourself. To get 85 is a pretty good run, to be fair. You've heard that, haven't you, when people get to 85, 90, God, he's had a good innings. A lot of people down to 70. So all these sort of things come up because your body just can't take it. So you've got to think, why am I living? What do I want to do? It's a beautiful world out there when you're sober. And you've got to really think, this alcohol's doing me no good at all. But it is difficult, it's an addiction, isn't it? Say people who give up smoking and then 6 weeks later, they walk past somebody who's had a cigarette and they'll start smoking again. But alcohol is very similar to that. And you can be off for years and years. And even 20 years plus, I've heard of people having a drink and then going back to square one again. And, you know, it's a waste of time because hard work staying sober when you're an alcoholic. It's not easy, but you can do it and you can recover. You've got to really have this strong urge and strong incentive to be sober and want to live a good and healthy life, because for years I drank, and I didn't drink very heavily in my 20s, but it soon crept up on me when I was drinking very heavily, and I got addicted to it. It's a habit. And all through that time, even though I was ambitious and pretty switched on and did all right in my career, I still found every day was an effort. Every day to get up was an effort. Every journey was an effort. Every task was now, it's not such an effort, it's more of a pleasure. And I enjoy the things I go through. Even though everything's not rosy all the time, you're still going to get issues and problems and health issues when you're sober. Life isn't, you know, sweetness, but you can deal with the pressures, the knocks, and what goes wrong, the financial issues, whatever's going on in your life, much better with a clearer head. So you've then got this chance to pull things on, and you'll find out you're not as anxious as you used to be. I was terribly anxious when I used to drink. I've got no or very little anxiety now. I don't worry about things to a degree, but I used to worry about getting a letter through the post. What's it going to be? How can I pay this? How can I pay that? Now I'll come to a solution. I'll get a problem and I'll work things out and work through it. I don't just panic and then order 12 more cases of Stella Lager, because that's what I used to do. And a lot of what you worry about never happens anyway. I'd say 99%, 95% anyway. And you're more reliable as a person. You'll find that people will come to you. You don't need anybody else, because I lost a lot of my confidence when I was drinking. And I leant towards other people I didn't really need to as a sober person, but I needed other people's help. to have food delivered, to have the drinks delivered, to have my stock in, I became like a very frightened, scared individual. And I call it the fear factor. You worry about anything, you worry about going out, in case you fall over, in case something happens, in case you have a heart attack. All these things are on your mind. Very rarely do these things happen. But because you worry, your anxiety is high, then you don't really live life. You're just existing at best. And when I was really ill in 2019, I would say for 3 years I was ill, 2017, 2018, 2019, I barely left the flat. And I lived in squalor. I couldn't cope with people coming in to fix the boiler. I couldn't cope with the rat people coming in to sort the rodents out in the block of flats. There's lots of things went wrong in my life that would easily be sorted now. If the rats were in this block of flats now, I'd sue the company. Prior to that, I used to put up with their excuses. And obviously, they know, some people know that you're weak, and some people know that you can't cope, and they'll take advantage of you. I had a tenant in the flat I used to rent out. She knew I couldn't get down there to sort things out. And she knew I couldn't put the rent up because I hadn't sorted things out. All this sort of thing. And you tend to become very vulnerable, like I said. And people will push you around a little bit. But nobody will push me around now. Nobody. Because I've got my strength back, I've got my confidence back. In a way, I've got my excellence back, if that makes sense. So what does alcohol? It strips away everything layer by layer, you see, until it has you to the bottom. And then when you're on the bottom, it'll stamp on you until you're dead. It's as simple as that, really. Because a lot of people I know, or used to know, who aren't here anymore. A lot of people I do know who are in wheelchairs, who've had serious illness, pancreatitis, liver problems which have progressed. They've now got jaundice. Some have died and all this sort of thing. I've got a friend who had a liver transplant and he started drinking again. What's all that about? 10, 12 hour operation where the chances of dying on the operating table are 1 in 10. Drink again. That's such as the power of addiction. And it will grab you. But the short and curl is it won't let go. And when you get a chance to get rid of it, you've got to welcome that with open arms. Because it's not easy to fix, but it can be done. And that's what you need to focus on. It can be done. And once you get out of your head this thought of fear of missing out, I'm going to be bored, alcohol's good, it did something for me. It does nothing for you as you get older. It does nothing for you if you've got health problems with it. Because we can't be social drinkers. I've said that numerous times. I cannot be a social drinker. I'll either drink myself to death or I'll just stop. And that's it. I've had to just stop. It took me a long time to learn that lesson. I've learned it now and I'm going to try and help you. I do one-to-one support and mentoring as well if you're interested. All the links are in the description. What you remember is you need to do this for yourself. You need to want to be sober. You need to want to be sober for the rest of your life. You need to want a better life. You need to not just add years to your life. You need to want to add life to your years so that when you're a little bit older, you can still travel, you can still go out, you can still enjoy yourself. Because there's no enjoyment of sitting in the corner of a boozer or sitting in your flat drinking just to exist, which is what happens. However, have a think about that. If you need any help, give me a shout. If you benefit from the channel, please subscribe, and I'll speak to you all soon.